Welcome to Boo Crew Case Files. I'm your host, Bree Schroeder. Joining me on this case file is a good friend here, Charles Johnson.
Hello, everybody.
So we are telling the stories of the dead and then basically trying to see if they'll communicate with us. That is the idea and concept behind Boo Crew Case Files. We're a few episodes in. Charles, you've been along for a good portion of this ride. I feel like we're getting communication and direct responses, so I'm nervous about this one.
Well, I think we should be. This is a little different case.
It is. It actually involves two people, and obviously you'll find out why here shortly. But this one is taken out of a true crime piece, but everybody knows the name, everybody's familiar with the story. We will dive into seeing if we can speak to the individual as well, so trying to hit it from all angles. So without further delay, Charles M. Manson was born November 12th, 1934. I am sure everybody knows that name. He was born to a 15-year-old red-headed runaway named Ada Kathleen Maddox. Shortly after delivering young Charles, Kathleen married a man named Manson, giving her son a legitimate name. His birth certificate simply read, "No name Maddox." Kathleen was from Kentucky, the youngest born to a devoutly religious couple. Impulsive and rebellious, she'd run off to the big city not long before getting pregnant. At best, a juvenile delinquent, at worst, an alcoholic prostitute, was what described Kathleen. She was a neglectful mother, once giving little Charlie to a friendly cocktail waitress in exchange for a beer. She left the boy with the woman for several days before he was returned to her. Kathleen continued to party and run afoul with the law. She was arrested in 1939 for armed robbery, a crime she committed with her brother. She was sentenced to 5 years in prison, and Charles was remanded to Kathleen's sister's care. Kathleen was released from prison when Charles was 8 years old. She found a job and regained custody of Charles, by then finding out that he had figured out how to be a master manipulator. He would skip school, beg for money on the street to spend on penny candy, and guilt-tripped his mother whenever she tried to get him under control. In his teen years, Charles was shuttled among a variety of reform schools, juvenile detention centers, and state jails. He'd run away, sometimes with older boys, often stealing cars, and getting caught soon after. Charles spent 1956 to 1967 in several West Coast prison systems on charges of tampering with mail, check fraud, pimping, auto theft, and parole issues. In 1961, Charles was transferred to McNeil Island Penitentiary in Washington State. His mother, feeling guilty and sad for her son, who had lost so much time already, moved to Washington to be closer to him. Kathleen later remarried for a third time and relocated to Spokane and stopped seeing Charles. Charles always had a way of blaming others for his woes. His followers, the establishment, music executives who wouldn't give him a lucrative contract, law enforcement, prison administrators, and even his own mother. Kathleen Maddox died of a brain hemorrhage on July 21st, 1973, in Spokane, Washington, at 55 years old. Charles Manson died at the age of 83 in November 2017 of natural causes in California. He was cremated and his ashes were given to family. Now, while this story is primarily focused around Manson's mother, Kathleen, one cannot wonder if sharing the story as I've told, could we possibly speak to Kathleen or Charles? I hope I don't regret this, but I'd like to try. Alright, we've just finished reading the story of Ada Kathleen Maddox and Charles Manson. We're now going to try to see if we can communicate through the Phasma box and possibly get direct responses or maybe even some residual from around the cemetery itself, as we are stationed right next to Kathleen's grave. Kathleen, how old were you when you had Charles?
Who was with you during the armed robbery in 1939?
Kathleen, you were married 3 times. What was one of the last names of one of your husbands? Kathleen, why did you trade Charles for a beer? I'd like to now transition to see if Charles would like to speak with us. Charles Manson. Charles, why did you have Sharon Tate killed?
What was Helter Skelter?
Everything about it. But I couldn't make out the rest.
No, me neither.
Charles, who was on trial with you in June 1970? Can you tell me one of the names? Interesting sound.
Yeah, I haven't heard that before.
Mm-mm. Might have been.
How many people did you have killed?
There was something.
That was something, yeah.
I swear I just heard I didn't do it.
You could have well done it. Am I?
Well, the reports were that he ordered it. He wasn't actually there. Charles, when did you begin your wave of violence? So to be fair, the year was 69 when all the violence started, and I thought I heard 69. Charles, did you say 69? Charles, are you here?
It's reported you were not involved in the killings. You only ordered your followers to do it. Were you present when they were happening?
Charles, did you find joy in the fear that you instilled in the California community doing your violence and terrorizing? Did you hear that? I did.
I was paying more attention to the interference.
Yeah. Manson, why'd you do it?
Charles, did you ever come to Spokane to see your mom?
Is there anything else Kathleen or Charles would like to say before we turn this off? I heard believe in this or something.
Are the victims that Charles had killed, are they around? You're something.
Yeah. Huh. There's definitely some responses, and I do think intelligent.
Definitely something that bears to reviewing, for sure.
All right, we're gonna turn this off. Thank you for communicating. So that that concludes an episode here for Boo Crew Case Files of Kathleen Maddox and her son, the well-known mastermind serial criminal Charles Manson. I kind of feel like we did have some direct responses. There wasn't enough for me to say one way or another that it was Manson or Maddox, but some direct responses to some of those difficult questions of why'd you do it, what year did you start your violence. I thought I heard 69, and
upon review, it'd be interesting to see what we got.
Exactly. So you, the listener, if you hear something, please email boocrew.pnw@gmail.com. But this was an interesting one, and it took us a little while to find Kathleen's grave here at Fairmont Memorial Cemetery. I don't want to promote the location for any listeners that might be fans and what have you, but I do believe that this will go down as an interesting case file here for us. Like many that we've shared, Charles.
Just an incredible case.
Yeah. I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to this podcast here of Maddox and Manson, and please join us on the next Boo Crew Case File.